Hello, and welcome along to the stream tonight. I hope that everyone is doing well. Hey Maurice, how's it going? Good to hear from you. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. I missed a stream last week, mainly because I was recording a couple of YouTube videos for some of the new features that shipped in the latest v3.0.0 release of Cake. So if you haven't seen them, I would encourage you to go along to my YouTube channel and take a look at those. The main features that were covered was, let me think, what did I do? I've completely forgotten. I'm going to go through them just now. I'm going to look at my YouTube studio to find out what I did. One of them was the new task of method, where you can specify what type context you want to use for your task. The other one was that you can now invoke a Cake script with multiple entry target names rather than just one. And the other one was that you can now show in the summary of a build a reason for why a specific task was skipped, based on the criteria that's associated with those. So if you haven't seen them, go and check them out. Yes, it has been a while since I've seen you on stream, Maurice, but no, welcome along. I'm glad to have you here. The plan for tonight is to look at the Cake.BuildSystems.Module. There's a couple of reasons that I want to look at this, mainly because there's some new functionality in Cake that I think I want the module to take advantage of, and I would like to take advantage of that for myself as well. But I thought where I'd start is kind of a brief overview of what the Cake.BuildSystems.Module is and why we want to make an update to it. And I should make it clear as well that the update is coming from contribution from Nils. So Nils is, like me, Nils is one of the contributors or the maintainers of this particular module. It was started back in the day by Alistair, but since then, Nils, myself, and Augusto as well have kind of been overseeing it. So what is the Cake.BuildSystems.Module? The best way to show it, actually, is based on the new functionality that Nils has just added in. So, normally within a build system, so by a build system I mean something like Azure DevOps or TeamCity or MyGet or GitHub Actions, something that runs your build. Now, in almost all of those build systems, there is functionality provided in terms of how you can log to the output stream of said build system. And the way to show that is if I look at this run Cake script section, then you can see I can expand that. I can drill down into that specific section of the log. So I can see what was going on, what was being outputted when that Cake script was being run. Now, what you can see contained within here, hopefully, maybe if I just scroll in a little bit, you'll see that there are now additional subsections. There's one for the teardown, there's one for the setup, there's one for dependency B, there's one for dependency A, there's one for the default task. So each of these are tasks within the Cake script. Now normally in the GitHub Actions output here, you wouldn't see that nested folding of the log messages within a task. What you would see is just all of the lines in a big long screed of text. So what's happening here is that Nils has added functionality specifically into the Cake.BuildSystems.Module that makes the build system aware of what's happening. What is the context? Is it running a task? Is it running a setup? Is it running a teardown? And it provides the secret incantations, which are typically what are known as service messages, to inform the build system that something is happening. And based on that something, it will take appropriate action. In this case, it's the folding of the log messages. Now, the same thing happens in TeamCity, in MyGet, and various other build systems. And the Cake.BuildSystems.Module is a module that you can add to your Cake script, which just does that work for you. You don't have to worry about sending the magic incantations via service messages to make things happen. So for the most part, this module takes care of all of that for the supported build systems that it has. So it's listing out here what it does. So for Azure Pipelines or Azure DevOps, it's doing individual timeline records for each task, percentage reporting on build progress, integrates warnings and errors logging, so it'll highlight errors and warnings within the output as well. For Team City, it does other things. For MyGit, it does other things. Travis CI, it does other things. So, like I say, Nils has added a PR which adds in that same functionality for GitHub Actions, and that's what I'm showing in this output here. I took this output. I took the new functionality for a spin before the stream, so that I knew that it was working before I merged the PR. So the hope is that we can get that functionality shipped in a new release of the Build Systems module. And the second thing that I want to look at is one of the new pieces of functionality that was added into Cake was the ability to write to the summary of a build in GitHub Actions. So what do I mean by that? So if I look at this GitHub action and the execution of this workflow, then I'm not going to draw down into one of the jobs. But if I scroll down, you'll see here that there's a build summary section here, and this is where the final step summary will go. So what I'm using there is a new alias that was added in the Cake, specifically for writing out something to the summary of the build that was executed on whatever matrix it is. So on this workflow, I have 3 builds. I've got the Windows build, I've got the macOS build, I've got the Ubuntu build. So for each one of those, I can get an output, I can get a summary output of my choosing, and there's a new Cake alias that allows you to write to that. So what I would like to do, and I'm going to attempt to do this in the Cake.BuildSystems.Module, is take, if I drill down into one of these jobs now, I want to take the summary that you typically get at the end of a build, so this section here, I want to take this section out from there and put it up into the top level summary for the build. So I'll get the summary here. So I'll get information without drilling down into things. I'll be able to see what went on, what was skipped, how long it took, etc. So that's the idea. I probably won't get to that side of things tonight, but that's the ultimate goal of what I'm trying to get to. Full Snable, hey, good day. Glad to have you along again. So that's the plan for tonight. There may well be squirrels and rabbits that we go hunting for on the way, but that is the general goal for what we're trying to achieve. Maurice is busy doing something else. Let me see if I can click on that link to see what he's up to. Maurice is, I'm currently working on a new infrastructure for Masto.new. It will be a while before it's available, so please bear with us. So let me just bring this over to here so that folks can see it. So Maurice, let me get this right. Maurice, along with someone else, is hosting a Mastodon server. So if you want to, you can register with their server and get access to the federated universe that is Mastodon that I don't fully understand yet. I'll be honest, I have a Mastodon account. In fact, I think I have several across multiple servers, but that's kind of where my confusion starts. But I do have a Mastodon account, but I'm not entirely clear if I've joined the right server, if I've got a case of FOMO because I haven't joined the right one. I don't understand why I can't see all the followers across different servers. I go into people's followers and it says I can't see followers that are not on the server. All of these sort of things I have questions about. I don't fully get it, and I'm not afraid to say that. So I might at some point have to sit down with Maurice and he can explain everything to me. But Maurice is saying currently sign up is disabled due to performance issues. So I saw that yeah, this number here, this number, Maurice, is bigger than the last time I saw it. So it's obviously been, you've obviously been advertising quite a bit, which is good. So I'm glad that you are seeing some success on there. But you're seeing performance issues. I guess that's to be expected. But full Snable saying they've got an account over in Mastodon as well. But like I say, I'm there. I can say I have followers and I've followed some other people, but I'm still on the Bird site at the minute. That's my go-to at the minute, because like I said, I don't fully understand what Mastodon is or how it works. I might diverge off, but I'm seeing other people talk about Hive today as well. That's another alternative. I don't know. We'll wait and see what happens. Marisa saying, no, I would not, but with Twitter migration, I get 1k new signups per hour. Wow. Okay. So yes, this is the problems of being a server maintainer, I'm assuming, in trying to keep up with the demand. So yeah, it's very good. It's good to see. So this is I don't understand. I don't know full Snable. I've seen some folks going to, what was it, coding.social. I've seen others go to Hive. I've seen others go to Mastodon. There's. I'm sort of waiting for the dust to settle to decide where everyone is going to end up. Fun fact: in Amsterdam, we used to have Hives, a pre-Facebook build. Oh, there you go. In the Netherlands, I should have said, I guess. So no, I'm waiting for the dust to settle. I'll be honest. I don't agree with everything Elon Musk has been doing. I feel sorry for all of the employees who have had to up sticks and move. But I'll be honest. It's my workflow. It's where I've got a lot of. That's what I've used Twitter for a long time for a work in a work capacity. So it'll take a while for me to move off of it, to be honest. Anyway, so that is going back to what the plan is. The plan for tonight is to look at the PR that Nils put in to provide the functionality for GitHub Actions into the Cake.BuildSystems.Module, to ship a new version, and then to look to upgrade to support the new version of Cake, which will bring with it some ability to do additional functionality, hopefully, within GitHub Actions. So I'm going to go to my command line, and I am going to do GHPR list to list out all the PRs that are on that repository. One of them is going to be the ones that Nils created, so I'm going to do git pr or GHPR checkout 115. That will give me the PR branch locally on my machine. Then I'm going to open it up to make sure that it is currently off the head of develop, which it is. So on that basis then, I am ready to merge this thing in. So I'm going to go over to this PR in the UI, and I'm going to say, if I haven't already, I'm going to provide a review. So I force pushed it the other day, so that was me doing it. I did leave a comment, so it's this is ready for review. This is ready for merging. So I'm going to go ahead and merge this pull request, and I'm going to say that's not going to get me the character that I want. I'm going to just say, Nils, thank you very much for getting this. So I'm merging that into the develop branch because that's where our next release is going to come from. And the next thing I'm going to do, there's another PR that I'm going to get merged in as well, I think. So I'm going to do git checkout develop. I'm going to do a git fetch upstream, git rebase upstream develop, and then I'll push that to my origin, and then I'll do a git branch -d of the branch that was called something feature. Okay, and then we'll do GHPR checkout. Nope, I can't do that yet because I don't know what the number was. GHPR list. I'm going to pull in this 133 as well. GHPR check out 133. Actually, that's a dependabot one, so I can maybe nudge that through the UI rather than doing it directly. So this one, it's already rebasing it, so I didn't need to do it. So there are two other open PRs. One is the bumping of the JetBrains annotations NuGet package. I'm going to pull that one in. The other one is for bumping to the newer version of Cake-Contrib.Guidelines. I'm not going to pull that one in yet because that one is about moving to the next version of Cake, which we're not currently on. Because if I go up to here and look at, let's just pick this one. If I look at the CS.proj file in here, then we're currently targeting Cake 2. So we don't want to bump to Cake 3 yet. We'll do that in the next release. That'll be part of what we do when we bring in the next piece of functionality. So I'm not going to pull in that until we ship the next version. So that's that. So how much is this Mastodon server currently costing you then, Maurice? Is it a lot of money to host? And what's the hosting infrastructure? What does it need? Because I'm curious. And while where'd my mouse go? My mouse is there. Let's go back in here and see if dependabot has updated. It has. So dependabot has force pushed that PR branch. So we just need to wait for the CI builds to take effect. So I'm going to say that this is going out in the next milestone, which is that one. And I'm going to say that this is, what do I want to say for this one? This is a build related feature, or a build related addition that doesn't need to be included in the release notes that are generated. Let's take a quick look at the files that have been changed. A bolt load. What's a bolt load? I mean, genuine question. What sort of specs are required and where is it hosted? So that's just a bump to there. So that's fine. That's fine. The other thing I should mention about the build systems module is that it's reasonably clever in the sense that it will only load the module assembly if it finds out that you are running on the build system that module is associated with. So what I mean by that, that's why there's multiple projects here. There's a project for each. There is a project for each build system that is currently supported: Azure Pipelines, GitHub Actions, MyGet, TeamCity, etc. And that module file will be selectively loaded based on whether it's currently running on that system or not. So it's one of these things. You can add it to a build, and it will just take care of loading all that piece for you. You don't need to worry about doing those checks yourself. So those are all just simple additions of that. So I'm going to say, looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and approve that and submit. And then we just need to wait for the CI builds to finish. And if that works, I'm fairly sure that BuildSystems.Module is running Cake.Recipe. So if it is, it should be a reasonably simple. It is. It should be a reasonably simple case of doing a release. It's a well-known and understood process, so we should be able to get that out the door tonight without too much problems. So Maurice is saying, I'm going to read that over here. Maurice is saying, if I would set it up, if I would set it up high availability with all things fast with my current host, I would be around €700 per month. That's a lot of money. So not going to do that. I have an option that I am almost sure that is enough. So going to try that. We'll tell you one day. Sounds good. Sounds like a topic for conversation in our next meeting. Let's do it that way. But yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, yeah. Right, so we've got one build left, which is the Windows build, so it's past the macOS and Ubuntu build. The CodeQL build is also passed, so we'll just wait for the final sanity check on that Windows build, and assuming all of that goes through, we will get this shipped. And after that, I think we're going to get started on it. I can show what's done elsewhere. So I was splunking around the source code the other night, and what I saw was that the thing that I want to do is already done for Azure Pipelines. So the Azure Pipelines module has its own implementation of the ICakeReporter. And what that does is it allows us to override the default write method and then write that information out to either the to write it out either to the build systems console output to make it work within the context of the build system, or just write it out to console as you normally would. So you can do one or the other based on what the current execution context is. So similar to what you can do in Azure DevOps, you can also now do in GitHub Actions, which is you can write Markdown into a specific location, and then that work is, not sure what happened there, that work will then, that information will then appear in the summary output where I want it to. Now the thing I noticed though is that the Azure Pipeline Report Printer was doing it in a way that I didn't think we would have to do. It was using the secret incantations, the service messages that you can do on Azure DevOps to write the summary out. Now, I was hoping to not have to do that work and just use the functions that are in Cake itself. But what I don't know is whether the module has access to that information when I want to use it. So that's something I'll need to play with. But that's a job for the next phase after we get the this current version shipped. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. There we go. So that's finished. So I'm going to go ahead and merge that then, and Dependabot will have closed that out. So the only one that should be left is the Cake-Contrib Guidelines PR, which I'm not going to merge in because, again, we're not ready for it. With that in mind then, I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to do git checkout develop again. I'm going to do a git fetch upstream. I'm going to do my little dance again, get this all updated. Git rebase upstream develop, git push origin, and then I'm going to delete the branch that Dependabot created. So git branch -d Dependabot, and then I think that's everything tidied up. So now I'm going to cut over to a release branch ready for shipping. So I'm going to do a git checkout -b release 4.2.0, and that's going to come from the develop branch. I'm fairly sure it's 4.2.0 that we're working towards. Let's just go ahead and check. So yeah, 4.2.0 is the next release, and it has 14 closed issues associated with it. The majority of those will probably be bumps in the dependencies, which it is. So I may clean up some of these because, yeah, we'll come back to that in a second. So I'm going to do a git checkout -b of there, ready for doing that work. So on here, I'm just eyeballing these, and it looks like there was lots of setup.nets. So let's just consolidate these and find out when the latest one was. So there's been lots of updates to setup.net. So I'm going to find the last one, which is this one by the look of it. I'm going to copy the link to that, and then I'm going to open up each of these other ones, and I'm going to remove it from the milestone, because the only one that I'm really interested in is the one that finished it. So I'm going to say superseded by this one. I'll leave that comment, and I'm going to remove this one from the milestone because I only want the final one on the milestone. I don't need to... Oh, what did I do? Apologies. I just closed my RDP session to my VM. I did the wrong keyboard shortcut. Give me 1 second while I open that up again. I'm going to put this back over here. I'm going to put this back over here. Minor technical difficulty there. So if I change this to be... Where did it go? I'm going to change this one to be there, and then I need to make this window a little bit smaller so I can fit it into my window here. Okay, let's try that again. I'm not going to do that keyboard shortcut again. So that one I was finished with. I was finished with that one, and then this one I'm going to say superseded by that one. But now, of course, I've lost the thing that was on my clipboard. So I need to grab this again, copy link address, and put that over there. And I'm going to take this one out of the milestone as well. Close that one. Superseded by that one. Take that one out of the milestone. Close that one. I've got two more to do. Superseded by that one. And then remove from the milestone. I think this is the last one. Superseded by that one. And remove that one from the milestone. I think that's that. So if I refresh this, there should be less things in the milestone now. So there's annotations, cake action, cake recipe, code QL. There's a double there. Take him out. There is a checkout. There we go. I think it's the last one. So I'm going to say copy link address. And I'm going to say superseded by that one. And then I'll take this one out of the milestone. Close you. Refresh you one more time. We've got JetBrains annotation, setting up .NET, cake action itself, cake recipe, code QL, cache, checkout, and that one. Okay, cool. So now with that done, I should now be able to do build.ps1 -- target equals release notes. And assuming that I've got all the necessary environment variables set up, that should then generate me a draft release on GitHub with all of those issues added to the release notes. And then we'll be in a position to release. So we're not doing too badly. So this, the only reason that this would not work would be if I don't have the right environment variable for creating the, and it looks like that is going to be the case. Or it's because it doesn't like the makeup of a issue. So it's saying that 124 expected to find a single label. So issue pull request 124 is that one is missing a label. So that one is missing the build label, and That one's an improvement. So it should be a case of adding on, hopefully, just build here, and then run that again. So the reason that happened is the way that we're generating the release notes here is using Git Release Manager. And Git Release Manager is fairly restrictive in the makeup of the issues or pull requests that you're adding into release notes. In order to know how to structure the release notes, it needs to know what label is associated with any given issue or pull request. And from there, it can create them in different sections. So in this case, it was missing the build label, which is used as an exclusion reason for the label not being actually included. So it's saying it's done something. So let's go up to here and look at releases, and we should have a new draft release. We do. And it's got that one improvement, which was add better logging and grouping in GitHub Actions. And it's going to say that this is where you can add it in to your Cake script. And there was actually more issues associated with this milestone, but those issues were build-related issues, so it's not included it within the release notes. Okay, cool. So that seemed to work as well. So now we can do the next part of the release. So if we do git checkout master, we should be able to do a git merge no ff from the release branch. And with that done, we can do a git push upstream, and we can do a git push origin. And then with those things done, if we go over to actions here, and if we make sure that the master build works as expected, we can then do a release. So what made you want to run your own Mastodon server, Maurice? Have you not got enough things to do? Or why did you create a Mastodon instance, if that's the right terminology? Or was it just for curiosity? For starters, learning about it. Good. That makes sense. And instance is the correct word. Okay, cool. And your instance is part of the Fediverse. Is that the right terminology? I've read that somewhere, but I also don't know if that's true. I'll wait for a response. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you have a Mastodon account on your masto.new Mastodon instance, correct? That was going to be my next question. Okay, so you've got an account on your instance, and I'm following you on Mastodon. So I went into my Mastodon account, or my Mastodon app, and I followed your account on your server. So even though I'm over here on my server, I'm following you. Correct so far? Okay, 100%, beautiful. So on my timeline, so when I log into my Mastodon app, on my timeline, I'm seeing federated updates from all the people that I follow across the multiple different Mastodon instances that they are members of. Is that right? And I'll wait for a response on that one too, while my builds are running. Across the Fediverse. Okay, so based on that understanding then, the whole FOMO, fear of missing out, that I've seen people talking about actually doesn't make any difference. So I can be on this server over here, you can be on that server over there, Full Snable can be on another server over there, but as long as we follow each other, we'll see the updates from each other across the different servers, unless there are performance issues or that server that one person is connected to goes away, at which point I will stop getting updates from said person because that server isn't running anymore. Does that sum it up? You can even follow users on PixelFed and Instagram on your Mastodon account. Okay, so you're federating, so that is federating updates from other social media platforms onto Mastodon. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so basically that's correct. Okay, so I think what I have in my head then makes sense. But I created a Mastodon account eons ago, and the server that I signed up to is gone. Okay, so this is the next question then. Interesting. So they're linked. Okay, so there's updates from Instagram going into PixelFed that I could then. Okay, fine. I'm not sure if I'm interested in that part. Okay, so next question. So I've got GEP13 on the Mastodon server instance I have over here. There's nothing to stop another person creating GEP13 on Masto.new, correct? There'd be no way for me to stop someone unless I created my own account over on that other Mastodon instance. Is that also correct? I'm almost there. Just waiting on my Windows build. I'm seeing a correct there, but I don't know if that was from a. Okay, hold on. Your handle is at GEP13 at mastodon.social, not at GEP13 anymore. Okay, so that answers my question then. So I think. Okay. So what is all these other things that I have been seeing from the likes of Chrissy Lemire and other people who are standing up their own little servers for the process of having a unique name? What's that all about, and why do I want that? There could be GEP13 at bsd.network, for example. Yes. But that's where I would want to add the verification, self-verification steps to my account on at GEP13 at mastodon.social. Because then I could at least then, that would then prove that who I am who I say I am. You could create me at gep13.co.uk, for example. But you get that for free, quote unquote free, because you've stood up your own Mastodon instance. I wouldn't have to stand up my whole entire own Mastodon instance. I could just create up a small thing that is purely for the vanity domain, or the vanity username, essentially, correct? It's all very complicated. My Windows build is almost there, I think. Yes, only for you and perhaps your family. Yes, okay. I don't know if I'm going to do that, I'll be honest. I think I might just stick with what I've got at the minute. Because if I did do that, I would then need to get my paltry. How many have I got now? I've got a paltry 69 followers. I would need to get those 69 followers to refollow me on my new account, which I'm not sure if I'd want to make folks do. But yes, I think I'm with you, Full Snable. I think I'm a little bit too lazy for that sort of shenanigans as well. That's a sea of followers. I'm currently following 11 people, and I have 69 followers. There you go. And I've made it so far a sum total of 11 posts on the Mastodon account. You can migrate your old account to a new account with a redirect and automatically get them to follow your new account. Oh, okay. So if my Mastodon.social account went away because the Mastodon.social server went away, I could do something to inform people that I now live over here in the Fediverse as opposed to there on the Fediverse. Yes? If you would go to... Oh, okay. Oh. So that's showing up. Maurice has indicated that their new account is now over here. Okay. But that relies on that server still being up. Or does it? Because if that server went away, then the account goes away. Therefore, the redirect wouldn't work. Yes? On Windows Build. Okay. I think that, yes, that's correct, was just what I just said, which was regarding the server being up. I'm going to take it that it was. Okay, oh, jobs are finished. Right, okay. So that's done. So now if I go back over here, and now I go back up to here, now we can publish this release and get that shipped out the door. So let's do this. And then we can come back to the Mastodon education that we're all getting from Maurice. So that's ready. That's targeting the master branch. And let's do publish. Okay, so that should kick off another build that is a tagged build. And then, beautiful. So let's just finish off this part here. So let's do git checkout, develop, git merge, no ff, the release branch. That should be a no op, fine. We'll git branch -d, the release branch. Happy days. Git branch, there should be nothing left. Beautiful. Okay. Full Simple saying he's got 100 plus followers on Twitter and he's not sure how that happened. All done. I've actually not looked at my follower count in a long time on Twitter. I don't actually know what it is. It's informed. That's more than I thought. It's telling me I have 2,170 followers on Twitter. That's significantly more than I thought it was. But hey-ho. But yeah, so I think there's a way that you can import followers from Twitter and put them into, or not followers, but you can look at who you're following and see if people exist on the Fediverse and refollow them in there as well. What happened is someone found your account. There you go. Now, have you done, Maurice, have you done the backup of your data from Twitter? Because seemingly you can export the archive of your data from Twitter, and there's a utility tool out there that will convert that into a markdown file, and it will find all of the images that you posted and videos that you posted and find the non-t.co link to those things, so that if you wanted to essentially get a browsable history of your Twitter before it goes away. Full Sable saying yes, but they're not a very interesting person. I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure that's not true. Yes, you have an archive, but do you have a nice human readable browsable archive? Let me see if I can find a link to the people I saw talking about that. There's a tool on GitHub that will do it for you. And I'm currently struggling to type. I'll get there though. I'll find it. There. That's it. Found it. Here. Copy, copy, copy. Oh, I've been away. What's Maurice pointing at? Okay. So yeah, for finding people on Mastodon from Twitter is the twitterdon.com. But if you look at what Chris is talking about in there, there's a tool from a gentleman called Tim Hutton that is a Twitter archive parser that will take that raw data and turn it into a nice human readable HTML file that, like I say, takes all the t.co links and expands them so that you get a standalone archive essentially of your data from Twitter. I haven't played with it yet because I haven't done it yet, but it's one of these situations that if Twitter is going to go away, then it's maybe beneficial to get that out before it goes away. And I was going to star and like that as a useful tool. That's what I was going to do. There we go. Ooh, okay, so it's done stuff. It's done stuff. Beautiful. Yes, but like I say, the images are there, but they're using the t.co short link that Twitter owns. So if Twitter in its entirety goes away, then the link to that image will go away too. So this tool expands that to the original link, so you don't have to. But it does need Python. So yeah, good luck. Right, so I think that has just shipped a new release. So if we go over here and look at NuGet.org and look for Cake.BuildSystems.Module. That's not module, that's Mofool. Choco install Python, yes, obviously. The only concern there is the running Python on there with all of its things that it needs to get that thing to work. Okay, so it's just shipped 4.2.0. Happy days. Right. So now we should be in a position to start doing the other work. And the other work in the next hour and 10 minutes will be twofold. It will be to create a new milestone, and we will start working on the 5.0.0 release. Now we're bumping to a major version because we're going to update the required Cake version, and in doing that it will remove support for earlier .NET runtimes. So we'll be updating that as part of that. So I'm going to attribute this one to that one. So I'm going to add the build label here, and I'm going to add this to the 5.0 milestone. Augusto's already reviewed this PR to say that it was amazing. So I'm just going to take a quick sneaky peek at it. Yep. So all we're doing there is bumping 1.3 to 1.4. So I'm going to additionally provide my PR review, and this should have already updated it to be at the head of the develop branch, but let's just do a sanity check. So GHPR list, GHPR checkout 134. And if we look at that in Git extensions, what we should see is that dependable PR is coming off the head of develop. Yes, it is. So that is ready for merging. So let's do merge the pull request there. Happy days. And then that PR is done. There's no PRs left. So what we'll do here, well, actually, let's go here. Sure. So I'm currently on the, I'm not on the develop branch, but let's do a git checkout develop, right? And then let's do a build within Visual Studio. So this side down here, it'll be doing a build, and that should all succeed. There should be no errors on my local build. So yeah, again, build succeeded. But now if I do a git fetch upstream and do a git rebase upstream develop, and then do a git push origin, by bringing in that updated Cake-Contrib guidelines package, I expect that now the build will fail, or at the very least it will give me warnings, because I should be targeting a newer version of Cake. Why did that not give me an error? Make sure that that one got updated. File cop analyzers. Where? Confused. Develop, end the bot, Cake-Contrib guidelines into develop. Why am I not seeing the changes that we made? I'm so confused right now. So close PRs. This one. Wait, what? Cake.BuildSystems.Module. Is that not the one I was looking at? Cake. Oh, it was this one. Sorry. I was looking at Cake module shared. Apologies. Down here, then it's bumped it to 1.4. But I thought the whole point was that it was going to start shouting at me about not having the right Cake version installed and updating Or does it only do that if I start? Maybe it only starts doing that when I move up to the supported Cake version. So let's try that then. Let's manage NuGet packages for solution. And we're going to look at available updates for Cake.common. And we're going to update from 2 to 3 on all of them. And did that work? Package is not compatible. Well, I know it's not. Oh, I'm so confused right now. Oh, because it never had a target other than Netcore app. Oh, hold on then. We'll need to add some additional targets then. Let's do this. Cake-Contrib Cake dot. What do I want? Cake-Contrib guidelines. Sorry, I'm looking at this on my other screen, just so I can get a sanity check over what I'm doing here. If I look at the PRs from this one, then author, yeah. Nope. You know what? I'm getting a bit lost in what I'm trying to achieve here. But if I go to the 1.4 release of the Cake-Contrib.guidelines, then we need a, where was the PR? Updated target frameworks to match. So the suggested framework is, let me just find it. This suggested required targets are net 6.0 and net 7.0. So currently we have net core at 3.1. As a final sanity check, let's go and have a look at what Cake itself supports. If I go into the source folder for Cake and look at Cake core and look at its CS proj file, it currently targets, don't tell me there. I'll need to go up a level into here, and it currently targets, yeah, net 6 and net 7 only. So let's replace net core app 3.1 with that. And let's do the same for here. And let's do the same for here. This is where I would have liked to have had a Nils or an Augusto on the stream as well, to make sure that I'm not going off script. But we'll wing it. We'll wing it. And then this one. There we go. Okay, so let's do a quick build there. The what now? Oh, well, that's going to break as well. Yes, that's sort of to be expected. The reason that is failing is because currently I am telling Visual Studio that the supported or the required .NET Framework version is that, when that's no longer the case. So this now wants to be 7.0.100. And now if I go back into here, I think those error messages will go away. Hopefully, maybe. Build failed. So at this point, I'm going to say that this hopefully is a Visual Studio oddity. Oh, who said that? Sorry, what's your handle there? Or was I just not reading the error message properly? A Grunewald? A Grunenwald? I think you are absolutely spot on. I think I did need to make the change that I was making, but you are absolutely spot on that I need to say target frameworks now, not target framework, because I added 2 of them in rather than the one that was there before. And if I'd read that closer, I would have seen that. So thank you very much. Internet points to a Grunewald for spotting that. Appreciate it. Now the question becomes, did I get them all? So let's start closing off the ones that I know I've done. So that's target frameworks. That's target frameworks. That is target frameworks. That is target frameworks. That is target frameworks. That is framework. So works. And then target frameworks. Close that dude. Okay. The project ran into a problem during the last operation. Okay, I'm going to close those and get back to a known state. Hopefully. So it's telling me Visual Studio ran into an unexpected problem with one or more projects. Reload the projects. Okay, let's do that. Let's reload faulted projects. If this doesn't work, I'm closing Visual Studio and I'm reopening it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So in my error list, there's currently 0 errors and 0 warnings. So that's a lie, because there's at least some warnings in there because of IDE settings that I've got set up. So I know that there's at least a couple of warnings, slightly more than I thought there would be, but that's okay. Yeah, that's... I kind of want to fix those, but that's not a job for today. So if I now do a rebuild, I'm sort of expecting this to fail for other reasons though. So I'm going to remove the warnings and I'm going to see... Okay, that's fine. Right, that's fine. So okay, so back up a step. So this warning is telling me, so this is a warning from the Cake-Contrib guidelines package, and it's telling me that I don't have the Net Core App 3.1 target framework moniker. But I don't want that because I want to target the next version of Cake. So that error is because I'm still on 2. And I couldn't get to 3 previously because I didn't have the right target. So I should now be able to upgrade from Cake 2.0 to 3.0 once it appears. Come on, you get. I'm going to click off of it and click back on, because who knew that would cause it to work. Right, so let's install that again and say yes. Packages. Detected package downgrade. Cake.core from 3 to 2. Oh, you know what? Let's just try doing them all at once then and see if that doesn't. Okay. This is not going well. Let's do it the other way then. Let's do this one. Detected package downgrade from Cake.core from 3 to 2. Reference the package directly from a project to select a different version. You're saying I can't do it at the solution level? You know what? I'm already getting bored of this. You know what? I will just do it in here then. Because I just want to upgrade it. Right. So let's do three. 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 And then 3. 3. File. Save all. Back to Visual Studio. I'm gonna clean the solution. And I'm gonna rebuild it. Okay, so now we're getting to the errors that I was expecting. Okay, much better. Okay, so oh, hold on. No, this is. Okay. The errors that I was expecting was this one. So let's fix this one, because I know that this one was broken. So the reason that this is complaining is because in the previous version of Cake, the ICakeReporter only had a write method, and that was it. But in the newest version of Cake, we added some additional methods: the write life cycle step, the write step, and the write skip step to the interface that is the ICakeReportPrinter. So because we added those, we need to provide implementations of each of those in here. So I thought you said write skip step. I did. I was wondering where is the wrong. No. See what you did there, but no. It was the right skipped step, not the right hand skip step. No, you're right. So the question becomes, how do we do this? So this is in the Cake-Report-Printer base, which each of the build system module specific implementations derive from. So I'm going to need to do something very similar to what we've got for the current write method. So in there, I need to provide implementations for each of these guys. So let's keep this one open, but let's pull this over to here so that we can see everything together. I'll maybe lose the Solution Explorer temporarily, and I'll lose this one again. So we have a void write method. So let's do public abstract void write life cycle step, and that takes what? That takes string and a verbosity. I think the other ones are the same. So let's put that in there. And then we'll do what this one was doing as well, which was to inherit the documentation from the interface. Okay, so then let's get a little bit smarter and let's just do a copy and paste from here. That's the write lifecycle event, and then we'll do a public abstract void from there. And then we'll do this one, public abstract void from there. Then we'll copy the inherit doc down to there, and we'll copy the inherit doc down to there. Okay, so that should get us a little bit further. Take every chance to make a bad pun. Quite right. Quite right. Okay. So now that bubbles up. So now we're getting errors that the specific implementations of the Cake report printer base don't have an implementation of the events that we've just, or the methods that we've just put in there. So we're bubbling up. This is to be expected. So let's go and have a look at the Azure Pipelines report printer. Now, in here, this is where we'll see the specific implementation of what the Azure Pipelines report printer does when somebody calls the write method. So in here, we are saying write to console of the report. Now, if we were to go and look at what we provided in Cake, so if we go over here and look at Cake build, nope, Cake build, nope, I'll get there, Cake build cake. If we look at the pull request that I was guilty of, and we look at the closed one, then it was in here that we added these new things. And down in here, in the Cake report printer, this is what we added. So the question then becomes, what do we want to do for the write step method in the Azure Pipelines implementation? I'm actually thinking that we don't want to do anything. So bear with me. The reason that I say that, well, no, let me rephrase that. The reason that I say that for GitHub Actions is the following. So if I open up a job here and we look in the Run Cake script section, and let's scroll in a little bit. That was maybe a little bit too far. So in the GitHub Actions implementation of the no, that's a lie again. In the, how do I say what I'm trying to say? Let's start over here. Right. Whoa, that got very big very quick. Right. So this write step method is responsible for writing out this part, and then the name of the step. And that's what you get if I were to do build target equals clean, then the write step method is responsible for, wait for it, it's responsible, no, that's the setup, it's not a good example, it's not quite there yet. The write step method is responsible for this part. It writes out the double equal. It writes out the equals. It writes out the equals, and it writes out the clean here. Right now, in GitHub Actions, the module that we've created does the following. So it groups all of the information from the task into this collapse slot here. Now, if I expand that, then we'll see the lines here, and then the name of the task. But given that we've just grouped that information into a section here of collapsed log messages, I don't actually think we need this when we're on GitHub Actions. In the same way that I don't think we'll need it when we are on Azure Pipelines. Now, that one I don't know for certain because I haven't run a build in Azure Pipelines to know what it outputs. But for now, I'm going to sort of say, bigly agree with GitHub Actions. Thank you, Stevie. I am glad. I think for now, so Jürgen RB, I've just brutalized your name, I apologize. So you're saying on Azure Pipelines, it currently does the same thing. So we group by the name of the task, and then we also show this part here. So for Azure Pipelines, we're saying that it's correct to not include this part when we're already grouping by the task name. So, okay, that's good to know. Okay, so then, in which case, I'm going to do something over here. And that something is to override the write step method. And in there, I'm going to do intentionally left blank. Right? And I think I can inherit doc again from there. I don't think we need to provide a specific implementation. I'm going to pull that through from here again, I think. Right? And then, so the next method that we added in Cake was then, let's minimize this again a little bit. We had the write step method. We then had the write lifecycle method. There's a very similar thing, but that was for the setup and the teardown. So if we go back over here, that's this section, this one, and this one, and then the one at the start that is the setup and the setup. So in the same way that in my example over here, in my teardown, I don't think I need that to be output again. So for the same reason, and if Jürgen RB could confirm that also happens on Azure Pipelines, that would be great. Because what I'm inclined to do is the exact same things I've just done. So I'm going to say override the write lifecycle event and say intentionally left blank again. And I'm going to inherit that once more in there. And then the final method that we added in Cake was the write skip task. Now, the question becomes, why would you have a write skipped, a specific write skip task or skipped step that does essentially the same thing that was done up here? And the reason that we did that is because the reason that we did that completely escapes me. But it's the same argument that I've just made. The writing of the skipped step only happens when it's on a verbose output, and if we're already grouping by the name in the group sections of GitHub Actions, I also don't think we need to do anything there. So I'm going to say override, and I'm going to say that one, and I'm going to say intentionally left blank again, because I don't think we want it. Okay, so by doing those three things, perfect. Thank you very much, Jurgen B. RB, sorry, appreciate it. So, does anyone on the chat use the myget build system provider? Just Jurgen. Perfect. Does anyone use myget and a cake build? Because I think I'm inclined to do the exact same thing as we did over here. But I'm also inclined to remove this, because why would we inherit doc for one thing but not the other? So let's, you know what, for now I'm just going to, let's get the build working. I'm going to take those exact same three things and do the exact same thing in myget. So let's do that. Beautiful. So where does that get us? That gets us to 24 errors. So let's ignore all of these ones because they're most likely just a result of the failed build from the other ones. iCake engine does not contain a definition for setup. Don't understand why that's not there. Missing required target. That's a misnomer, I think. That's because it hasn't been able to build it, so it hasn't been able to remove that analyzer check. So what else have we got up here? The type or namespace, setup event args. Why do we not have setup event args anymore? Oh, we did change that, didn't we? We did make some changes in this area. Now, I'm not immediately familiar on exactly what we did. So let's have a wee sneaky peek at Cake. Let's go down into the Cake core and find the iCake engine. So iCake engine was modified Remove obsolete cake events. That sounds promising. What did we do there? Or what did Matthias do there? So Matthias removed setup, teardown, task setup, and task teardown. So we removed them and replaced them with before setup. Or that was in the tests, sorry. That's maybe a misnomer. Let's see what we did here. So we've now got a before setup and an after setup rather than just a setup. It's my go-to as well, I'll be honest. It definitely is. So we removed just task setup and we've added a before and an after for each of those. So that explains the difference there. So then the question becomes, setup is obsolete and will be removed in a future release. Use, which one do we use? We use the before setup instead. Okay, so let's use the before setup over here. Maybe. Cannot implicitly type. Oh, that's fine. So it's not. Is it got a before setup event args? So let's go and have a look at the set event args. That must have been obsoleted. It will be removed in a future version. Use before task setup args instead. Let's use that. Cannot implicitly convert type event handler. Line 41. Oh, Jürgen, you are on a roll. Okay, so do we? Oh, it's already marked as obsolete. Right. Jeez, oh. Right. So that one's already marked as obsolete. Someone's already come along and done that work. So that exact same thing can go away then. Right, that's the correct thing to do. In the same way that teardown is there before teardown, and that's also been marked as obsolete. So let's remove that one. Oh, we're deleting code like a ninja. Right. That one's also obsolete, so let's take that one out. And let's take this one out. Beautiful. Okay then, what does that do? That's more internet points for Jürgen there. I hope someone's keeping a tally of the internet points that has been won so far. Now, why is that still telling me that it's missing a require? It's not though. Missing require. I've only just removed it. I don't really want to put it back in again. That can't be right. I don't think that is right. Starting. I'm going to. So this is. I'm going to do a final sanity check that hasn't just. I'm going to remove. I'm going to. Oh, there was another suggestion there from Jürgen, but I missed it before I closed it. Line 15 set to version 3 maybe. What was line 15? Recent projects, build system. Cake-Contrib guidelines override target framework. What does that even mean? Cake-Contrib guidelines override target cake version. What does that even do? I'm going to go and look in the project for information on what that does. There's little to no documentation on that, but let's have a look at the PR. Okay. In fact, well, let's do this then. I think we might be able to take that out. Based on the documentation, or based on the PR for the addition of that attribute, that's the wrong word, based on the PR for the addition of that MS build property, it's to override the auto detection of cake version for target framework version rules. So it must have been the case at some point that it was that was added to trick it into thinking it was a 2.0.0 version of Cake that was being used rather than the one that was being automatically detected. So by removing that one, the error list has now gone away. So we're now in a place where we've updated Cake and we have updated all the target frameworks to match what Cake itself supports. And we've updated an implementation, or we've updated the implementations of both MyGet and Azure pipelines that have got a specific implementation of the ICakeReporter for writing out information to the log view within each of those systems. So what we need now is I now want or need a new ICakeReporter implementation specifically for GitHub Actions. So we've got one in Azure Pipelines, and we've just added that to the root previously. So let's go ahead and add a new class here then, and we're going to call that the imaginatively named GitHub Actions Report Printer. Beautiful. Okay. So we will take this one down to the bottom here, and then we'll do a little side by side in terms of what we've got in this one. So we'll change this to be public. This is going to implement the Cake-Report-Printer base. There we go. That's going to yell at us because we haven't implemented all the things. So let's go ahead and implement all the things. I'm going to say that this one is going to be what we did before. So we're going to say intentionally left blank there for this life cycle step. We're going to say intentionally left blank for there, and then left blank for there. We're then going to borrow the inherit doc so that it borrows it up from the lower level. And this one, we will put the inherit doc, but this one, we need to put something in there. This is still complaining because it doesn't have an XML comment. So we'll add in a summary, and we'll borrow something similar to what was done before. So initialize as a new instance. That sounds perfect. So let's just borrow that and stick that in here, but it's not going to be that, it's going to be that. Then we must be missing a constructor. So let's borrow I just put that in the wrong place, didn't I? What an idiot. Okay, let's take that and put that down there. Copy that and put that in there. Put it in there. And then the one I was wanting was this one. And we will go up to here and put that in there. And the GitHub Actions report printer. Fine. And then we'll borrow this attribute as well. Keep everything consistent. Right. That obviously needs a using statement. Let's do that. Okay, so we haven't got an implementation of the right method, but we are getting close. So, and that's where we got the context from then, because I was wondering where it got its context from. Oh, but that's on the base. Okay, so the context is on the base. Right. Okay, fine. Fine. Okay. So in the write method, we want to do stuff. So I think we want something similar to a sanity check. If there's no report, then we do nothing, or we throw an exception if there's no report. And then what do we want to do? So the check there at the top is basically saying, if we are running on Azure pipelines, then we do something different, and that something different is to write to Markdown. Fine. If we're not running on that, then we write to the console as we normally would. So I think we want to do something very similar to this, at least to start with. It's obviously not going to be Azure pipelines. It's going to be GitHub Actions. And then it's going to be is running on GitHub Actions. Then we're going to write to Markdown, or we are going to write to console. Fine. The write to Markdown method is going to be, so do we move this? Because this is going to be very similar. Well, no, but see, it's not. It isn't, it's not. It's... I'm going to borrow it. I don't like borrowing it because potentially there's a lot of reuse here. In Azure Pipelines, the Markdown is added to the overview page of the pipeline. Yes. So what I'm envisioning, I don't know if you're, I don't know if you saw where I was wanting to put it for GitHub Actions, but the intention is this is the summary page, and what I was hoping to do is to write the summary into this bit here. So this section of GitHub Actions accepts Markdown, and in the same way I think that Azure Pipelines does it. So the idea is that I could take that summary report and stick it there in the very same way. So it's not, it brings out, I think I'll repeat it as, I think you get what I'm saying, but it's rather than having to drill down into a specific job and go into run Cake script and then find the summary at the bottom here, I want to take this part, the summary with the duration and the total and what tasks were executed, and I want to bring that up into the top level summary for each build. What's the word I'm looking for? For each build agent that was included within the job itself. So I think it works very similar to Azure DevOps, But what's going through my head is whether I can borrow some of this or whether I need to make it a generic method. But then that would need to change. I would need to get the markdown back to then write it to where I need it to for the specific implementation. Yada yada yada. I think I'm just going to get it to work initially. So let's do this, and I'm going to go down to the bottom here and create a new. That's going to bug me, so I'm going to make that a string.empty. So this part is going to be different. So I'm going to take all of this stuff out, because I'm not going to do that specific implementation. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do context dot GitHub Actions dot commands. Nope. GitHub Actions dot commands dot set step summary, and in there I'm going to do an sb.toString. So this is what I was talking about before. This is the new method that we added into the new version of Cake that is responsible for writing out the information to this section of the workflow summary. So if I can put everything into this string builder that we want, then it will write it out to that summary section, and everybody will be happy, he says. Now, thought I changed that. Maybe it was another one. Now, there's a couple of things that I'm going to want to do different though. And the things that I'm going to want to do different are, what do I want to do different? The things I want to do different are what we did over on another. It was the same PR actually. That's not this PR anymore, is it? Let's find the PR that I did again. How much time have we got left? I'm running out of time. If I do author get 13 and I look for closed issues, closed PRs again, then what I want to do is I want to potentially add in a third column to the summary, which is similar to what we did over here, which was we either add a third column, which is the skip reason, if there are any tasks that have been skipped. Because that's one of the things that I added. If you haven't seen that, I did a YouTube video on it. So go ahead and look at the YouTube video. And what I want to do, or what I want to know is, oh, there's all sorts of stuff happening here. Oh, I might have to do stuff similar to that. Oh, it's so hard. So what we did in the new version of Cake is we added in the usage of spectre.console. And spectre.console handles all of the automatic wrapping of the columns that are added into the table that is output. Now, looking at the code that was used here, there was a line format in play to know how much space to add into the each line. So where's the line format used? The line format is used here to then append a line with this in it and then I'm assuming the assumption is that the duration is a known format length, so that's why it's only been given 20. But do I need to do something similar for the skip reason? Because the skip reason is potentially massive. Or do I just let Markdown do its thing? Because why do I care if this has got... Why do I care? Can I not just let Markdown do its thing? Surely I can just... I'm confused by what this nomenclature here is doing. Oh no, so this is 0. What's the minus? I don't suppose, Jürgen, you have a screenshot of what the Markdown output looks like on an Azure DevOps Cake build, where it promotes the summary to the overview page of the pipeline, do you? Because if you do, I would love to see it. And what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to say at this point we will then use the include skipped reason column as a sense check to either do this. So we're going to say if include skip reason column, then we'll do stuff, else we'll do something else, and that something else here is that. And then if we include the skip reason, we will do skip reason. Where's my pipe? It's there. And then in here, we will do, I'm going to assume that that's that. I'm going to fix that spelling mistake that I've now just seen. Reason. Okay. So I'm going to say, we don't need this part anymore. And then, what is that doing? Should write task. Should write task is if execution status equals delegated, return cake.verbosity. Okay then. So I'm going to borrow these. Well, you know what? I'm going to take. I'm not convinced that we need that yet. So I'm going to take that stuff out just now until I understand why we need that. I'm going to take let's just make this a little bit simpler at the minute. So I'm going to say it's pipe followed by 0, pipe followed by 1, pipe followed by, nope, let's just do that. If it's that one, and then if include skip reason column, then we do something else, we do the other thing, which is that, and then this goes into there, that becomes a 2, and then on the end here we are going to do item.skip git message. Fine. Where should you upload it? Could you like dump it into a GitHub gist or something, and then send me the link to the gist? You should, in the gist, you should be able to just paste the image, and it should upload it automatically, I think. And then you could send a link to the gist from there. That would be great, Jürgen. Thank you. Okay, so if we're including the skip reason column, then we're doing 0, 1, 2. Otherwise, we're doing 0, 1. And then boom, 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 boom. Okay, and then we're only doing all of this if we are on GitHub Actions, is running on GitHub Actions. We write to Markdown, right, build. Does that succeed? It did succeed. Okay. How do we test this? What's the easiest way to test this? No, I'm missing something. I'm missing something yet. I'm missing where we add this. We must have to register it with the IOC container. So where are we doing that? That's being done there for that one. So if I come down here and look at the GitHub Actions module, then in here where we're doing the registration of things, I'm going to need an equivalent one, which is registrar.register type, and this is going to be GitHub Actions report printer, and we're going to absolutely, it's exactly what we're going to do. Okay. And then I could set an environment variable with that name in it to trick our locally running instance into thinking that it was running GitHub Actions. And that would then flow through into here as well. And then that would show us what the markdown it was going to write out. And in there, it would write it out to an environment variable that is the set step summary. Okay, lots of stuff happening there, but I think we're at a natural stopping point because I need to go and walk my dog. It's come to that time of the evening. But as a quick summary, and to allow Jürgen time to upload a screenshot of Azure pipelines into somewhere that we can have a look at. So as a quick summary, what we've done today is we have shipped a new version of the Cake.BuildSystems.Module module for Cake, and that was to provide functionality for grouping of the log messages into the setup, teardown, and task section. So I can show an example of that just as a quick closing out of today. So on this one, we can see that the default task has been collapsed down into a section named the name of the task, in the same way that dependency A has been collapsed in the exact same way. And our setup, which didn't have anything in it, so it didn't report anything, and our teardown had stuff in it as well. So that part has all been done, so that we've shipped a new version 4.2.0 of the Cake.BuildSystems.Module has been shipped. We then started working on a new version, which will be version 5.0.0 of the Cake.BuildSystems.Module, which has support for Cake 3.0.0. That in itself is going to be a breaking change, because that means changing the target frameworks of the application from .NET Core 3.1, .NET Core App 3.1 to .NET 6 and to .NET 7. And we also changed the interface definition for the ICakeReportPrinter. So we had to change that on both the Azure Pipelines report printer and the MyGet report printer. And once we got past that, we've then started implementing our new GitHub Actions report printer. And the idea there is that we will be able to bring up the information about the summary from each job execution up to the top level overview page within GitHub Actions. So with all of that done, in between the builds running and the builds taking the release pipeline getting shipped out the door, we went through, thanks to Maurice, we went through the basics of what is Mastodon and how that works, and how the Fediverse works. Jürgen on the chat got at least 3 internet points for pointing out my things that I was doing wrong in at least 2 places. And also because he has uploaded image to GitHub Gist. So let's bring this in here. So this shows the top level summary that comes out in Azure DevOps from Cake. So this is the markdown that is output from the Cake summary. And I want to do something very similar in the GitHub Actions summary, but I want to understand why it was doing all of the calculations as to the longest task. I don't understand why it needed to do that. I would have thought that Markdown itself would have handled that for us. But I'll need to play with it. So my intention is to get to a point where we can run a build locally. We're going to trick our machine into thinking it's running on GitHub Actions. I'm going to capture the markdown that is actually rendered, and then I'm going to throw that into a markdown converter to see what it would look like before we attempt to ship a new version. So that was that. Thank you everyone for hanging out on the stream tonight. This has been fun. Thank you for all the interactions. I just saw a notification that A. Gruenwald, that was a first time chat. I just saw that just now, and they pointed out that I needed to change it from Target Framework to Target Frameworks. So internet points for A. Gruenwald as well. So thank you all for all the help. I do appreciate it. It's always hard to speak about things whilst you are trying to type things onto the screen. So I always miss things. So I do appreciate the interaction. So most likely I will be continuing with this on next week's stream. So if you're at all interested, feel free to come back. But for now, I'm going to sign off and I'm going to go and walk my dog. So stay safe, everyone, and I will talk to you again. Thank you very much.